council meeting on August 9th at 6:30 p.m. Thank you for your patience. We were having a couple technical difficulties. We're running interpretation and a hybrid meeting all at the same time, so we want to make sure all systems are running. So thank you. We have Spanish interpretation available. Tenemos interpretación en español. Are there headsets here too? Yeah. Los audífonos están en la mesa y pueden usar, si oprimen donde dice el globo, pueden seleccionar español. We want Vice Chair, would you please take roll?
Yes. Councilmember Alcaraz.
Present.
Councilmember Allen.
Present.
Councilmember Lombard.
Present.
Councilmember Reyes.
Present.
Councilmember Winders.
Present.
Vice Chair Hardiman here. Chair Atturi.
Here. All right, thank you. Again, just reminded the council to participate and as equally as possible this evening. We apologize in advance for any technical difficulties. We've already had some and we may have some more. We are broadcasting on Facebook and Sonoma TV, so thank you to Sonoma TV. And we are broadcasting in English and Spanish. We will do our very best to stick to the times on the agenda. And we just want to say our thank yous again to KSVY, Lynn Marie, SVUSD for the space, Carlos and Dasha for the interpretation service, Karina and Susan Gorin's office, and Zaira for their support to make this all happen. So we'll move on to item 2, approval of the minutes. Can I get a motion? Are there any changes to the minutes from the July 12th meeting?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, item 2 closed. Public comment. This is an opportunity for the public to make a comment on any item that does not appear on the agenda. We'll provide a 3-minute public comment, and we'll also look at our online viewers and see if there's anyone in the Zoom room who would like to make a comment. If you wouldn't mind raising your hand. Okay, so we've got one in here. And we have one in the Zoom room. All right, if you wouldn't mind approaching the podium, speaking to the council and stating your name. Thank you.
Hi. There's a lump there. Greg Larson,
Mr.
Boy Spring
Larson,
resident.
hold on one moment, please. Let me get the timer on the screen. Thank you.
Thank you, Karina.
Okay. Boy Spring resident. I've been corresponding with our county officials on our road conditions in the Boy Springs. I haven't heard back from them in like 2 months. My last question to them was how much money is coming into Sonoma County based on our gas tax, SB1, and Measure M, which are all road paving funds that come from the state and from our local taxes. I haven't heard anything on how much money is being brought in, where's the money being spent, who's getting the money, who's paving our roads. There is nothing, no return. I need transparency with our government, our local government, and it's not there. It makes me believe, and I think of things that they're ignoring me, even though I'm a taxpaying citizen. On their website, it says they work for us. So if you work for us, I need these answers. I don't need the go to this person, go to that person that can't answer any of these questions. We need the treasurer, and we need the head of transportation and infrastructure, and we need our county supervisor to have a town hall meeting, which I've expressed to this council that we need to know where our money is going for our roads. They're only paving 3 roads in District 1 this year. It's not enough. I want my fair share of taxes to go towards where I live. It makes me believe that there might be corruption because they can't answer these questions. And that's one place I don't want to go. But we need to know where our money is going, where it's being spent, who's receiving it, how much it is. We need to know these answers. I do. And I think that there's a lot more people here that do. I shouldn't have to go up and down my street to get a petition to go have my road paved. There should be some sort of system in place where our county head of transportation and infrastructure would have a crew come out and go, wow, this here is really in bad shape. We're going to put you on the list. That it's not my, I don't think it should be my responsibility to get petitions to get my road paved. I think it should be the responsibility of our government to take track and look at these things to say, hey, you know, these roads are in bad shape. I go to Napa County, they're fine. Why is that? Why is it you can see a line in the road where the roads are fine in Napa and they're not fine here, anywhere we go? So I need some answers, and I need it from our local government. And I need this committee and council to take this up. Jack Allen, right, has expressed that he would like to know more about this also. I think I'm talking about the right person. I think I am. It was in one of the meetings that were here. Well, thank you. My time's up.
Thank you, Mr. Larson. It is on the agenda for the September meeting. So thank you. Is there any other public comment in the room? If you wouldn't mind stating your name. And you have 3 minutes.
My name is Kalani Raposa. I'm the operations manager at Homeless Action Sonoma. And I'm not familiar with the formats of these meetings, but I came to ask that when you consider or to allocate the money for developing the roads, we opened a new campus for formerly homeless people, and we need a crosswalk there and a flashing light because the increase in foot traffic has been more than we anticipated. And we're getting a lot of people coming over to sign up for services, and we need a way for them to cross safely. And so I would ask that the council consider finding a way to budget that. I'd rather address it now and instead of waiting until somebody actually gets hit before it's something that comes up as a topic of conversation.
Thank you. Thank you for your comment. Anyone else in the room? Okay, we'll go to, I think we have one person.
Thank you, Chair Turi. Yes, Kristen, if you could state your name and begin your comment. Thank you.
Hi there. I'm just doing a check. Make sure you're okay.
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Great. I'm Kristen Madsen with Creative Sonoma, and I was with you all last March where I was presenting to this group about our efforts at Creative Sonoma to develop a county master plan for public art. And at that time, we had kind of a basic outline for what we thought the plan could entail and how it might work after having held many community group and one-on-one meetings. And we promised at that time that we would come back to you when the master plan was in a final enough form for public feedback. And that time is now. So since March, we've been working hard on the details of how it will actually be implemented, what county departments will be impacted by this and therefore need a voice in how it comes together in this policy that will accompany the plan. But the plan is now available for you all. And so my request is, once we get the link to you, which I will send through Karina, if you would take a moment and go on our website where it lives, read through it. And if you have additional time, please fill out a brief survey to allow us to gather your feedback and thoughts on that in a comprehensive way. So glad to be back. Glad we got this plan done. Would love to hear from you more. And again, I will be happy to answer any questions down the road. I'll work through Karina on that, and I will tell you it's on the website, and you can look for creativesonoma.org/public-art-program, or wait and I'll send the link to Karina and she'll get it out to you. Thank you all very much.
All right, thank you so much and congratulations on getting that done.
Thanks.
Okay, any other hands raised?
I don't see more raised hands, Chair Turi.
Okay, thank you. We'll close public comment. chair update. I don't have a lot tonight. We do have 2 seats on the council. They are the alternate seats, and I believe we still need a seat representative for the SVCAC position. So it would be great to have someone on our council represent us there. And I'm glad to be back. Thank you to Vice Chair Hardman for running the meeting in July. Appreciate it. Got a little break, so thank you for that. And just happy to be back today. So thank you. I'll close item 4. And Supervisor Gorn, would you like to say anything?
This is good. It is a lump, isn't it? Hi, everyone. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for the work that you're doing. You're doing amazing work. Just a brief update. Interestingly, I returned from Austin, Texas. Hot, hot, hot Austin, Texas. Why do people live in Texas? I have no idea. But I was able to tour Community First. It's very well known around the country. It is going to be 3 different villages for homeless individuals, probably 5 miles outside of Austin. Very well run, beautiful, great community rooms, very expensive to operate. And it's funded primarily privately, because they have some big employers in Austin and generous folks. So that was interesting to see, because many of my constituents had talked to me about Community First. And so I was curious about what it was. Which brings to mind on August 22nd, the Homeless Services will come to the board to propose several new homeless services in different areas around on the county campus, because the tents were a temporary solution. We need to take down the tents, but we're thinking about another space closer to the jail, not reflective of the population. That's just where the land is, for both RV parking as well as tiny homes and services. There also is recommended for some changes on LG Village at Las Gulcos. The pallet shelter homes are flimsy and falling apart, and they will be recommending that we remodel several wings of the former juvenile hall very close to where LG Village is located. And so I'm supportive of that. It's about the same number, and could accommodate about the same number of folks, but much better services and environment and context, I think. So that will be coming forward, and maybe a couple of other suggestions. So you might pay attention to the board discussion to figure out how that is moving forward. And yes, the folks from Homeless Action Sonoma left, but I did take note of their concerns. I have talked with, and you probably read the article in the Sonoma IT today about the pedestrian flashers being erected on Broadway. And we've been following that. And I talked to the city manager today. Not as easy as it sounds. So they've been working a lot of months on installation, but we are working also with the former Transportation and Public Works on beacons for lighted crosswalks on Highway 12. I will make it happen. It may be the last thing I do as supervisor, but I'm determined to make that happen. Let's see what else is happening. In case you haven't noticed, the Sonoma County Fair is on. Apparently the dinosaurs are a big hit. I have yet to see the movable dinosaurs, but anyway, I hope you have an opportunity to wander up and to see and partake of the good things at the Sonoma County Fair. I think those are just top of the mind issues that I'm working on, other than the tanker cars. I served on the SMART board for about a second and a half, just long enough to get the LNG tanker cars out of Sonoma Valley. And the SMART is mourning the rental income from the tanker cars. So they're running at about $500,000 in deficit each year, which they need to make up. And we may see the tanker cars or some kind of freight cars being stored back in Sonoma Valley because that was lucrative for them. So if that's a concern for you, then pay attention. I think the SMART board will be making a decision next Wednesday at their SMART board meeting. I think that's all, other than thank you, Jeff, for being here. And I know you're probably going to give an update, so I will not steal your thunder, but thank you, Caltrans. Appreciate it. And before I leave, do you have any questions?
That was my question. Is there any questions from the council?
Yes, I do have one. When you say tanker cars, are you referring to, are they like rail storage that was in Weinberg or something like that?
Yes, there is a siding owned by SMART, sort of paralleling or just adjacent to the Mullis Dairy, extending down into the wetlands. It's a double track there, and they can store as many as 250 or 500 cars there. And if it's in case of flooding, significant rain, then they move the tanker cars elsewhere in Sonoma Valley to avoid the flooding. Whether they were full of flammable fuel or empty, they were there. It's $5 a day rental income that SMART receives for the storage of the tanker cars. And you probably recall they're big and black and they look like a tanker car, and you see them everywhere all over the country. This is a cheap way for the fuel companies, the oil companies, to store fuel in anticipation of when fuel changes its mixture from summer to winter. Most of the time they're empty, but not always.
It would be interesting for a price increase to reflect the cost of times we're living in, to also bring more money to the valley.
Indeed, and I would like to negotiate easements with SMART for multi-use paths. I want to see a quid pro quo, but we'll take it one step at a time. Just wanted to let you know that probably is going to happen.
Are there any other questions from the council? I have one. Oh, sorry, Monica, go ahead.
Sorry. No, I grew up on Mullis Dairy in front of those tankers. So I just want to actually personal advocate that they be moved as far like towards the creek instead of where the children are, because there's many kids that live there in the dairy.
Yeah.
That's all.
You
Thank you.
probably know that Mullis Dairy is going to close. Oh, I'm so sad. They were sued by a variety of groups. It has gone through the courts. They have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees that they cannot afford to appeal. And so I knew their organic certification was in threat, but I never anticipated that the dairy would close. So that's a lot of jobs and a lot of productivity. And of course, they're devastated. And I'm sure your family is as well. Not
you.
anymore.
Iris, did you have something?
Yes, you were mentioning that the tiny homes might be placed at the county facility.
Right.
Okay, I really respect the work that Homeless Action did to place those, but it took forever because of all the site requirements. Is that going to be a problem if those are placed there?
And I asked the same question, and I understand that the site, once we give the go-ahead, the site will be graded and gravelled. 2/3 of it will be used by RVs, whether they're operable or not. They could be towed to the site with, of course, the mobile showers and probably washer dryer services. And the other third of the site will be occupied by the tiny homes. The front part of it will be appropriately surfaced for ADA requirements, and the rear part of it could then be, as long as they're level for ADA requirements, they could probably exist and be placed on gravel. And, you know, we know people at the county.
Thank you. Supervisor Gordon, I have two questions. One has to do with the placement of the unsheltered folks. Are there other locations being considered other than next to the jail?
Not on that campus. You know, the Christmas tree lot at the corner of Mendocino and Administration Drive. They were considering that, and the fire department said, please don't put more than 2 locations for the unsheltered population, because they are called almost daily to respond to emergencies for those folks living on the campus. So it will probably not be there. It may be, well, it's next to the freeway and the jail, across from the fleet operations, and very close to the Veterans Village. So it's not a horrible location.
Okay, I just wonder the message it sends, that's all. So.
I totally understand. There are folks living just south of the tent encampments who are furious, and we see a lot of spinoff from the presence there.
And my next question is there any update on the hub that's opening on the intersection of Verano and Highway 12?
And Lomita, the hub meaning the service hub?
Yes.
Okay. We were just now talking with Karina and the team about a community meeting. And Karina, remind me, do we have a firm date and time and place?
Thank you, Supervisor Goring. Right now it's set for September 14th.
Which is
6
a
o'clock.
Thursday.
It's a Thursday. We're hoping here in this exact room, but more details will come once it's officially confirmed.
And probably about 5:30.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. So it will be a community meeting there to ask the community what kind of services that they need, what kind of services should be provided there. And it will be a hybrid meeting and translation provided, of course. So I'm still assuming we're having inquiries about a number of departments that might be interested, but I'd really want to hear from the community. And we're aiming for sometime in October to open.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there public comment either here or in the Zoom room? Jesus.
Like your shirt, Jesus,
Thank you.
and feeling sad that Hawaii is burning.
Mm.
All right. My question, it seems like a lot like the government is taking over the caring of the homeless, and it's becoming a grand problem in, I don't know if it's a problem, but a condition that affect us all. And I would like to know if the government has partners that is helping alleviate these situations, and if you can just let us know how this is going, because it seems like the government is taking over this problem, and it shouldn't be the government.
It's a rare occurrence that the county would actually be managing homeless shelters. We do have COTS in Petaluma. You're probably familiar with them. A nonprofit in Petaluma do an incredible job of multiple different environments, including leasing homes called the Integrity Homes for homeless individuals. Share Housing actually has started leasing homes for homeless individuals, and they have 2 new homes. And I'm trying to figure out how we can help to furnish those homes for a number of homeless folks. Catholic Charities in Santa Rosa, of course, has been running the Sam Jones Hall for decades, and now they have Caritas Village, so they are a nonprofit. Sebastopol, Homeless Action or Saves is running an RV park in Sebastopol. George's Hideaway is being started by the county, but we'll be looking for a service provider to manage that. And we always, and at LG Village, we pay the bills, but St. Vincent de Paul is actually operating and managing LG Village. So I would say in general, the government is maybe helpful in setting up and finding locations for various kinds of homeless services that are needed by our residents. But for the most part, they're a funder and they're looking for partners to operate, provide security, provide meals. But the county does provide wraparound services to help the folks with substance abuse issues, finding jobs, job training, as well as mental health and other kind of services, and access to government programs for SSI and other kind of financial assistance for the folks living in the homeless I don't want to say homeless encampments, interim shelters. The pressing need is to help them with some of the challenges that they have, but also provide financial education and workforce development so that they can be successful and reintegrate into the community.
Thank you. Celeste.
So the area, I heard you say that we're looking at refurbishing portions of Los Guilacos into what sounds like transitional type house, supportive housing. What's the time frame on that? I mean, is that something in the works ASAP before winter comes, or is that something a year from now?
Well, we're working on county time. So they're saying, yes, they would like it to be modernized, updated before the rains come. And I say they're going to be darn lucky to do that. So hopefully they have a plan on getting the funding for that. And as soon as the board says yes, they're going to start working on contracting to have the work done. It has a very seismically safe, fire safe shell, but it does need some modernization inside.
And so if it's not, or do we have a workup for a plan B? I'm thinking about the last winter that we had, and it is projected to be potentially another very wet Los Niños winter. And so I'm just trying to, I know like it's summer and it feels like that's so far away, but it's definitely not far away.
It's definitely not far away, and I really understand your point, and well made. We want to stand something up that has some capacity for a number of folks who are living in their tents now. And when it's cold and wet and rainy, it's not pleasant for them, and it's not pleasant for the community. So we want them to be safe and warm and fed. I have asked homeless services to outreach to Homeless Action Sonoma and SOS to see if we can get priority placements for some of the folks in Sonoma Valley, because that's really the closest shelter that we have or will have other than HAS being constructed now. And yay, thank you, Annie, and the whole team working on that.
Thank you. Iris?
Thank you. I have, when it was so hot 2 or 3 weeks ago, and the board was unable to, for whatever reason, activate cooling centers, that was quite concerning. It was really damn hot. And it certainly could happen again. And I wonder.
And it will happen again.
Will it? We just don't know when. What was the hang up on that?
The hang up was we had been working this spring on establishing an extreme temperatures, what we call annex, a part of the emergency operations plan. And the county, in their infinite wisdom, I disagreed with that and said so, that they look at the modeling for the weather. And if there is 3 days of really hot temperatures and 3 nights where it doesn't cool down, then it triggers the respite center and opening. So we are now in negotiations for some of our community partners to open up the respite center, the cooling center. And the real challenge is we could open up the Veterans Building. It's very far away from the population. And it will, and in our experience, when we've done this before, it's been 10, maybe 20 people going to the Veterans Building. So we're looking at maybe the Hannah Center, agreeing with them and I'm trying to get cooling equipment, solar panels and cooling equipment at the Grange. So potentially we could open up that as a respite center. So as you know, living in the Springs, we don't have large buildings aside from our school's multipurpose rooms. They use those buildings, as Mike knows. So it's pretty hard to open up the multipurpose rooms or any other part of the school when they're being used by the school population. And so once again, we had this challenge, Karina and I did, of trying to find public spaces that, especially during COVID, could be used and provide a place for vaccinations and testing. It's really difficult in the Springs. So we're in conversations with a couple of churches, maybe asking them to open up, and would love to have volunteers, staff.
Okay,
Sorry. The temperatures in the valley are, and especially in the Springs, are generally higher
Yeah.
than, well, certainly Sonoma, probably Santa Rosa, Petaluma, which, you know,
Not hotter than Cloverdale.
not hotter than Cloverdale or Healdsburg. I get that, but
And
that should be
I get
considered
that too.
also.
I think point well made. And maybe we can research where and provide you all a citation for the language and for the policy.
okay, so we're gonna, if
Move
we
on.
want more information on that, we're gonna have to put it on an agenda. All right, okay, I'm gonna close this item.
Thank
Thank
all.
you.
One more thing, we did meet with Arcticscape, and they're going to submit to us a proposed budget for the work that Jesus started, identifying the utility boxes and coming up with designs for the utility boxes. And I added a section where we might look at some of the really ugly walls in the Springs that the county erected and putting on some murals there. So stay tuned.
All right, thank you.
We're excited.
Thank you, Supervisor Gordon. All right, we're gonna move on to item 6. I think we have Gary online. He's gonna give us an update on fire season, and our thoughts are with the people of Maui and what they're experiencing. Thanks, Gary, for being here.
Yes, thank you, Chair and Council. You guys can all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, Chief Aker is on vacation in Hawaii right now. And one of our battalion chief is actually stuck in a hotel in his family in Lahaina, and they made it out safely to their hotel. But no power and no cell phone service. I talked to him for a quick minute today. He had one bar, he said, and that was about it. But he said it was just devastation, just like what we experienced in 2017. So best wishes for the community in Maui. So a lot's been going on. We just finished up our hiring process for 7 new firefighters. Out of the 7, 5 of those came from our volunteer internal ranks. So our homegrown people from Sonoma Valley. We're excited to bring them aboard for full-time positions. And then we also acquired 2 lateral position candidates from neighboring fire departments in Sonoma County. So their academy will start next week and should be onboarded here in the next month. So we're excited about those new firefighters coming on board. We've responded to several small fires, vegetation fires within the valley recently, all handled very quickly. We also sent 2 strike team of engines down to Southern California in the last couple months to help down south with some of their fires. Luckily, those were contained very quickly, and we got our resources back very quickly. Usually those assignments are 14 days, and we had our equipment within 5 to 6 days. So we're happy to help other communities that helped us during our need. So predicted for the rest of the year, just some fire season update. So they're expecting a normal type of fire season, no high expectations of significant fire activity. We could still see those wild card days where we could see a fire start and spread very quickly, but not sustained for weeks on end. So that's hopeful as we move forward into really the heart of fire season. They're also expecting weather changes, less offshore wind events. So our 17 fire wind event, they're expecting less of those, but maybe a chance of more lightning activity throughout California. And they're also expecting, depending on how El Nino shakes out, if it strengthens, they're expecting really a short fall. So us going right from summer right into winter. And they're expecting rainfall in early October. This is a long range forecast, so that's a good thing. Logistics, we just received our new Type 3 wildland fire engine that is stationed at our Agua Caliente Station 3. So if you want to go take a look, you're more than welcome to stop by and take a look at that new engine. We have a bunch of station repairs in progress. Seismic retrofit project will begin at our Glen Ellen Station 5 here in the next month. So we're looking forward to getting some upgrades to that station. We just recently received a grant from the California Fire Foundation for our Community Firewise landscape project at our Station 1 downtown Sonoma station. So we can move forward with redoing our landscaping, but mimicking what the regulations are. So we're going to have different types of products, different plants, and the spacing correct. So people can come by, walk around the front of the station, check out the products, and maybe design their yard like what we are going to have. EMS wise, hopefully you saw it in the paper, but we did a day honoring the Freedman staff's employees for saving a veteran, a local veteran in town. And that was a well-attended event there at Freedman Brothers. And we're glad that the patient's doing very well and able to continue with his life. We continue to schedule our hands-only CPR classes, both in English and Spanish. Those can be found on our website at sonomavalleyfire.org. Our last Spanish course that we put on was very well attended, and a lot of good feedback we received from that. Training, we've been doing some mutual training with Petaluma and Rancho Adobe fire departments over in Petaluma on active shooter events. And that included local law enforcement and really life. I was just talking to a firefighter today, and he was like, that was really good training because it was, I mean, the law enforcement had blank rounds. So, you know, sometimes we do training and we just do training and training and training, but this, it was more realistic with the live rounds going off, shouting, people involved in moulage, and really did have a great training there in Petaluma. Prevention activities, June 15th was the deadline for weed abatement here in the Valley. So if you still have not cut down your grasses, you know, try to do that before 10 o'clock in the morning, before it gets in the heat of the day. We've completed about 70% of our defensible space inspections out of about 345 homes. And this year, our focus was the Temelec area, up the Carragher Road corridor up to Sober Vista. So we're just about right behind the golf course right now. And if you have any weed complaints, you can fill out our weed complaint form on our website. And it's anonymous, so you can go ahead and report anything you want. And we'll go out and take a look and see if it's in violation of the county ordinance or state laws. We also attended the back to school health event at Altamira this past weekend. It was a great event for us. I'm happy to be there for the community. And wrapping it up, just in general, again, pushing know your zones for evacuation. If you just type in know your zone, Sonoma County, links you right to the county website. And you can either type in your physical address, or you can look at the GIS map and figure out what zone you're in. And what I would say would be know your zone, and then know a little bit of your adjacent zone. So if they go into a warning, that's your time to kind of prepare to get ready to go. A little early warning. Also, the Sonoma County Adapts Home Assessment Program is off and running. Those are free home assessments for vegetation management and home hardening. This is like the first phase of the program, and to receive potential funding for some of those costs recovery from the county, you have to have those home assessments done by the program first. The second phase hopefully will be the middle of next year, and then that money will come from FEMA and the county to do those vegetation and home hardening projects. That's all I have for a little update. I'm here for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. It's lots of great information. We appreciate it. Congratulations on the new hires. That's awesome to hear. Are there any comments from the council? Jesus.
My question is, what is your plan of action when there is a wildfire? And yeah, can you elaborate on that, please?
It's very situational, but we have our normal response that has not changed in a long time. When that initial dispatch comes out, depending on if it's local responsibility area, kind of like the flatlands versus the hills, which is more of state responsibility area, you get a little bit different of resources. And then you'll get some different resources if there's hydrants in the area or no hydrants in the area. But we have all those developed. They're already in place. And then working with the county fire chiefs, after the 17 fire, there was a lot of lessons learned, and we're building upon those more lessons learned. So now, before we would just hit the big red button and just everybody would send engines to that fire. But we need to be more logical in that, because obviously another event can happen. For example, the 17, you had the Tubbs, you had the Nuns, the Partrick, you had fires kind of everywhere. And if we draw all those resources down to one area, then our backside's kind of uncovered. So what we did is we already have response zones within the county, and we can ask for a specific amount of resources from an adjacent region in the county that's already developed. So it's just a quick request, and we get more resources that are allocated to our fire event. So, and then obviously if the fire continues, there's a lot of other waves of resource requests. So that's the short answer.
Thanks, Gary. Appreciate that. Is there a comment from the public? Okay, seeing none, we'll close the item. Thanks again, Gary, for being here.
Thank you.
Okay. Caltrans. You are very familiar with us here. Yes, so we have an informational update on Caltrans. Jeffrey Weiss, the
Thank you.
PIO, and it's a receive only. So what do you got to say, Jeffrey?
Great. Can you hear me okay? Am I
Yes.
good? Okay. So this is my first appearance here since we had our meeting on the 21st of June. We invite Caltrans hosted a public meeting to get feedback about the Verano Route 12 intersection, and most specifically to find out what sort of plan community wanted for the signalization. There's other elements, but mostly about the signalization. So many of you were there, and I appreciate that. For those who weren't there, you really missed something, because it's so hard for me to explain this by just drawing my fingers in the air. I mean, having the maps and things like that really helped us explain what we meant by a split phase and an all phase and no rights on red and all that sort of stuff. So the meeting was well attended, but we might have had a few more. But then when I got and checked the email, when I got back to the office, we had another 30 emails. So there's a lot of people who responded to our request for information and feedback about the signalization and other elements at Verano and 12. And so we had a lot of information. So it came down to the split phase versus the all phase. The split phase meaning that left turners and would go at one time, and they'd hold up the pedestrians crossing their paths. And the left turners would go one at a time. And this causes a delay, but it's resulting in a far safer crossing for pedestrians going across, specifically people crossing 12 with left turners going across from Verano. That's where we really wanted to concentrate. The other it's easier to explain, is the all phase, which means that all lights are red after a pedestrian pushes the button. Right? Someone has to push the button. Doesn't automatically go to all red. But if a pedestrian pushes the button, everyone stops, and there's enough time for the pedestrian to cross, and then the lights go back to the normal signalization. So we looked at all the data, and it wasn't overwhelming in numbers. It was probably overwhelming in percent wise, but a lot of comments we didn't have a lot of comments on the signalization, but we decided to go ahead with the all phase. Just want to throw that out there. And I think the reason why we went with that is because although some people did like the split phase, we thought that the community, even if they didn't comment on it, and more people preferred the all phase than the split phase by a wide margin, not numerically, meaning like not an absolute number. There weren't like 50 to 1, but there was a higher percentage, maybe about 3 to 1, preferring the all phase. But just the comments that we got from everyone, and it just seemed like the right thing to do, to have go with the safer one, given the comments that we had. So we plan, hopefully, if all goes right, to implement the all phase on August 23rd. Now some things have to happen before that. There's signs that need to be put in by our maintenance crews, and they're called blank out signs. I never figured out why they're called blank out signs, but these are the signs that say no right on red. So when the all phase goes, you have to tell people that they don't know it's all phase. You need to tell them no right on red too. Otherwise they'll take one, and that will interfere with our plan. So those need to be installed ahead of time. I don't know if it's going to be in words or if it's going to be, the circle with the red bar across it, but those need to go in first. We've ordered them. I think they're on the way, and hopefully they'll be in there before the 23rd. But what I'm saying is it's coming soon. So far as some of the other elements, the lighting is going to be installed at the, what would it be, the northwest corner and the southeast corner. The city of Sonoma has installed 2 light poles, and soon there'll be lights on those. And that's a really helpful thing that the city of Sonoma has done, because we were going to plan to do that in our second phase some time from now. So they came through because we had right-of-way issues and some other issues, and put those in. So those will be going pretty soon. Adding more illumination to the area and making it safer for pedestrians. We've changed the speed limit signs on Route 12. Those are much larger now. I hope you've noticed, but they're much larger. And let me see, what else do we have? Let me see. Yeah, that's what's on the agenda now. What's been done, the signs, the posts, and we've ordered the signs for the no turn on red. And we've decided to go ahead with the split phase as early as August 23rd. We're hoping to make that date. We will do a lot of public outreach before that, so that people know what's happened to their light, because not everyone attends these meetings, right? So, and we'll do quite a bit of public, and I'm sure you all help us with that. And then after that, we'll move to the second phase, where we make a lot more improvements, installing those left turn lanes on, it was westbound Verano, and some of the other elements that we plan to do. So that's my news for today.
Thank you. We're going to take public comment.
Okay.
Or council comment and then public comment. Questions? Joe, are you raising your hand?
Yeah, just quick, just saying thank you for listening. I know for some, they'll feel that this took ages, but knowing that it's government bureaucracy, thank you for pushing it through as quickly as y'all have been.
You're welcome. Thanks to all the Caltrans staff. Are the other staff members on?
I think they are. It looks,
Lester and Gaz?
yep.
All right, if I get in a bind, I'm gonna
All right.
toss the microphone over to them.
Okay. I was,
Metaphorically.
I just, will you please let us know by email, when this actually will be happening? The 23rd is a good time to know that that's the target date, but you know how things happen, so.
That's correct,
And,
yes.
and if we're going to talk about it, we need a pretty solid date, I think, to tell,
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, we can let you know when those other signs are going up too, because that'll be a change as well. Those no right turn. They're electronic signs. They're not stationary signs. That they less message will be illuminated on those. So they're the good ones.
Through the chair, I'd like to encourage community members and council as well. If you're not already on Supervisor Gorin's distribution list, please reach out to me and we're happy to add you. I'm pretty sure Caltrans will reach out to Supervisor Gorin's office for support with outreach on this. My email is karina.garcia@sonoma-county.org. Thank you.
thank you. I have a question about phase 2.
Ready for phase 2.
Yeah,
tonight.
I'm sorry, Jeffrey. There was a 2-year timeline before.
Mhm.
I'm wondering if that shrunk at all.
I don't think it has.
Hmm.
Would any Gaz or Lester like to comment on that from one of the 2 screens here we have hanging off?
Yeah, Jeff or council person, the schedule has already been accelerated already with the 2-year schedule. So it is still that schedule at the moment, and so.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Typically a project will take longer than 2 years. So
It's unfortunate. Thank you. But thank you for accelerating it.
This is fast.
Okay.
I know everyone doesn't think it is, but this is fast.
Well, that
Probably know some other projects that have taken a lot longer. And shorter too. I mean, when we got to this point of making the changes, let's put it this way, when we got to the point where we decided to make these changes, it has gone quickly. And I think that the changing of the light signalization is a big change that's going to make a big difference
Agree.
safety wise. The other things will as well, but I think we've taken a big step rather quickly on this.
So I just want to be sure that I understand. So the lights will turn red for all cars to stop and pedestrians will be able to cross
Correct.
at all four. Okay. And then when the signalization lights up for the cars, we still don't, there's not going to be an arrow we're not at that stage, right? That's not included, that there's a left turn arrow for Verano.
I don't believe so. Lester?
Yeah, I think you're the missing left turn lane out there is for westbound Verano. And that won't come in until the phase 2 project, because that will require, potentially new signals out there, new detection out there. The rewiring of the signals for the all ped phase was something that we could do in the interim, right, without a project. But adding the westbound left turn lane, the exclusive left turn lane, will require a project, and it has to go through the environmental, go through the design to make sure that we could fit it in, right? And so,
Okay, thank you. Any more comment from council before I go to public comment? Jack.
To just address the other areas of interest in the Springs, and this is purely a comment, the signage for the pedestrian crosswalks is becoming obscured and it's harder for drivers to see it and pedestrians as well. I think it's partly due to vegetation management, not sure whose jurisdiction that falls under. I have waited for a good 10 to 15 cars at the crosswalk near Boys Food Center. And I think it's primarily due to this visibility issue. And yeah, that is a comment rather than a question.
The visibility of the signs?
The signs.
Okay.
That's correct. Yeah, you cannot see them.
Okay.
Like there's leaves in front of them.
Right.
Yeah. And another comment, those are the crosswalks we'd like to have lights on. I'll gonna continue.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. I'm here, they're getting them on Broadway Street in the city.
Yes, I don't know how much I can comment on that because, and then maybe Lester can comment as well. Caltrans has a specific standard for crosswalks. So if you look at the one that they've put in, and this may be bad blood because it's in your neighboring cities, technically you're part of the city of Sonoma, but on there's a what they call a hawk system, which has an overhead signal, not the flashing in the pavement and along the sides. I'm not sure that Caltrans installs those flashing ones in the pavement. So, I mean, it'd be easier for us, but we ran into that problem on Broadway with the city of Sonoma, and that's why the city is installing those flashing ones in the pavement rather than Caltrans. We put in the overhead type.
We'll take those too.
Okay.
and actually, we are on the phase 2 project. We are going to add 3 more RRFBs. Those are with the lights. I think it's in the Boys area. I think it's at Sierra. Was it Central and Waterman? I think those are the 3. I guess existing pedestrian crossings that we're going to add to RRFBs as part of phase 2.
Thank you. Any public comment?
There are raised hands.
Okay.
So phone number 707-996. If you can dial *9 on your phone to unmute and make your comment. Chair Turi, how much time?
3 minutes.
Thank you. Can you wait for the timer to be on your screen? You may begin your comment.
Yes, this is Randy Roberts, El Verano. And I was wondering, because it wasn't quite clear to me from reading the article, with regard to the westbound Verano situation, will there be a exclusive right-hand turn going north on Highway 12, as well as the left-hand turn, or will that be eliminated? And if there is a right-hand turn on there, is there going to be any attempt to put a no right hand on red there?
There will be a left-hand turn for going north. If you're talking westbound, we're going to add a left turn pocket for northbound Highway 12 traffic. That's in phase 2. There will be a no right on red illuminated sign that will be installed when we go to the all phase. So that sign will light up to prevent cars making a right while there's pedestrians in the crosswalks. I hope that clarifies, and I hope it didn't step on his time. Does that make sense?
Let me bring him back. I apologize.
Will there be a designated right-hand turn lane?
No.
No, okay, and so they're not going to widen the intersection at all?
So
Well-
for westbound Verano, there is an existing right turn lane. I believe that's going to stay. The through is going to stay, and then we're going to add the new left turn lane. And Jeff is to southbound Route 12.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no further comment, we'll close the item. Thanks,
Thank
Jeffrey,
you.
appreciate it. And we
Thank
do appreciate everything Caltrans has done, so thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks to the online folks from Caltrans as well. Okay. Norms and expectations. This item was bumped from the July 12th meeting. The ad hoc is to present a draft document to the council for discussion for adopting respectful public comment guidelines, guidance on council communication, and general expectations. This is a resolution. And it looks like the ad hoc was Joe, Celeste, and Jack. Okay.
I mean, while I'm looking for it, I think kind of the big things that we highlighted, we're just kind of staying true to the format. So like sticking to items that are on the agenda, which we kind of trailed off a little bit there on that one. And then the other big one too, is remembering that it's public comment. I just don't want us to run into a Brown Act violation where we have people presenting and then going back and forth with public comment and bringing up, question and answer to where, folks might feel left out. Those were kind of the big pieces, unless I'm missing others, Celeste and Jack.
Yeah, just to sort of clarify, part of it is just wanting to stay in adherence to the Brown Act. And so when we begin with topic A and topic A turns into topic A and a half, and we start to veer off, what happens is there may be public out there who wanted to participate in topic A and a half, but they didn't know we were going to talk about it because neither did we. And then we just talked about it and effectively denied them the opportunity to participate. So this is literally why the Brown Act, one of the reasons why the Brown Act exists. And so we wanted to ensure that, and it's frustrating because I think, the community, they're like, I know, but I'm telling you this thing. And that's the reason why we don't engage in response so much with the public when they give public comment, is simply because we don't want to veer off into topic A and a half and then Z. So it's really about us sticking, with our agenda. We're here to hear the public comment. We can always follow up with people afterwards, or staff can follow up with people afterwards, or we can agendize an item. I mean, if topic A and a half becomes like really important, then we can agendize it on a subsequent meeting. So I think that was kind of a big piece of our conversation as an ad hoc, was wanting to really stay with the Brown Act for that specific purpose, to really ensure that all members of the public have the opportunity to participate in the discussion, and staying, as true to our agenda. Even though sometimes it's really hard because topic A and a half might be super, super, super interesting. But that was a lot of our conversation, was doing that. And then also, just following in lines of just common decency and respect, that we treat anybody, right? That the same respect that we would treat a stranger walking on the sidewalk and we bump into them and say, excuse me, right? And so, I can say that I love public comment. I'm the queen of public comment. And I will always fight for everybody's right to 3 minutes to tell me all the things I did wrong. I will forever fight for their right to do that. However, I think it's important that in the process of that 3 minutes, that we treat people with just some very basic courtesies. And I think that that's a very reasonable expectation that all of us in the community can have for one another, and something that we can all uphold.
Anything to add?
Through the chair,
Mhm.
just a reminder that the second part of this item is to talk about your material and remediation. And we do have staff from ISD, Sonoma County ISD, waiting to have to present to the council.
Do we have a written document that we need to approve?
The ad hoc was given direction to provide a document. I did not receive it from the ad hoc.
Okay. No.
I don't have that.
I don't think so. That was an example of how we need to. Okay, should we bring it back to the September meeting then for approval?
I suppose so, if there's nothing to approve today, but you do need to hear this
Yeah,
presentation.
I think we probably need to add, perhaps we need to add something from that to the norms and expectations. So who do we have?
Before we move to that part, Chair Turi, just a reminder that this item was also created so that the community could also understand, when you have a speaker, that the community addresses the council and not the speaker.
Yeah, that would need to be added to the norms and expectations. I think that was the tipping point that we wanted to make. That's why this item came forward.
Jeff, I apologize. My mic was off. Turning it over to Jeff Deffenbach from ISD. And again, apologies if I did not pronounce your last name correctly.
Oh, you got it. Thank you. I'm Jeff Deffenbach. I'm the IT manager for the web team for Sonoma County. Thank you for having me. The web team works with departments across the county on ADA compliance for documents as well as the website. So I was asked to come on and talk a little bit about why we do this and a little bit about the rules and regulations around ADA, or the American with Disabilities Act. And if we go to the next slide here, am I sharing? Okay, thank you. The American with Disabilities Act, or ADA, is really used as an umbrella reference to many different rules and regulations, and many that are specifically affecting information and communication technology. You may recognize some on this list about the Rehabilitation Act, Section 504, and then the late 90s, Section 508. And these are all really civil rights legislation, which is enforced by the Department of Justice. So as we talk about this, we're talking about all the documents that we post on the website in these meetings, all the web pages that we have in the county, because really these rules and legislation, if you go to the next slide, this affects all government entities. So at the federal, state, and local government led local governments, regardless of whether these entities receive federal financial assistance, this applies to everyone. So again, that's the documents that need to be remediated for compliance, the website pages, your calendar events, and really everything that you guys utilize and present needs to be remediated. And the remediation really affects multiple different audiences. A couple of the larger ones I'll talk about today is one, visual impairment. And the common conditions around visual impairment includes color blindness, blindness, macular degeneration, as you can see on the list here. And it also means eyesight impaired to the extent it can't be corrected to a normal level by glasses, contacts, or surgery. And this affects a large group of the population. It's the 9th most common disability in the US. Nationwide, that's 4.6% of the population. And bringing it down to Sonoma County, that's 22,000 residents affected by this impairment. And according to the CDC, this is expected to be doubled by 2050. So it's very important as we think about visual impairment and you're thinking about your documents, that if someone does have trouble seeing or is blind, they use special technology, which are called screen readers, that read the documents for them. And if they're not set up properly or they don't have the right notations, they are unable to understand the information presented. The other large audience is cognitive disability. So common types include autism, ADD, learning disabilities, dyslexia, multiple different types of cognitive disabilities. And when you look at the statistics around this, nationwide, it's about 10% of the population. And looking at Sonoma County, it's about 51,000, almost 52,000 residents affected by cognitive disability. And, complying with these regulations for these documents and the website, the additional benefits include, it improves comprehension for those who don't speak English as a primary language. It also makes it easier for technology such as Google Translate and Microsoft Office to translate this information into dozens of languages that's available specifically on the website. So what should be remediated? Any viewable or downloadable document must be remediated. The web pages, the content management system handles most issues that we work on, but we're specifically talking about PDFs, all Microsoft Office documents, including Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, and images is another big one. So images need alternate text associated with it. So for those who are using screen readers or have trouble seeing these images, they need to know what is being portrayed and what is the meaning behind the image in a text format, so the screen readers can pick that up so they understand what they're not able to see. So really some of the key points around making these documents compliant with ADA, it improves independent access to government information, improves ease of use for everyone, creates opportunities for residents and employees, it fulfills government's legal obligations, reduces the likelihood of litigation, and bottom line, it's the right thing to do. We want to make sure that everyone has the same access to all this information that is being provided by the county, by the state, by the federal government, so everyone can see and understand the document and the website. So some of the resources that we're putting together, and I think it'll be sent out at a later date or after the meeting, is kind of almost a checklist. It's a do's and don'ts for remediation. The key around remediation is when you're creating the document is to set it up then. It makes it simpler across the board. It makes it saves time. It saves money. So if you take some of these steps as you're creating the document, you really don't have to go back and do more remediation at the end. So I won't read all these out, but we will send this out, and it's really around creating that alternate text, like I said, for the images, creating an enhanced experience and writing short and clear sentences and paragraphs. And the color contrast is another big one, to make sure you're looking at the color contrast. And there's a link on here for an analyzer so you can see if it's compliant or not. So it's really about the work you do as you're creating your Word document or your PowerPoint presentation to set it up then. And it'll make it easier down the line when we submit it to post on the website or have it available for your meetings. This is really the key to making everything compliant. I know that was quick, but hopefully it was a good overview for you on one, why we do this and really who this affects.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Mhm.
So we'll take comments from council on the norms and expectations or the presentation we just received. Celeste.
Yeah, thank you. So first of all, just a clarification, autism is a developmental disability, not a cognitive disability. And I think it's really important to clarify that because the autism community it's very important to them. That's clear.
Okay.
And dyslexia is actually a speech and language disorder versus a cognitive disability. So I by trade am a disability advocate. I'm also the parent of an autistic child and the parent of 2 dyslexic children. So I live disability in my house. I live accommodations and I live accessibility all day, every day. And so I'm saying that because I want to frame the context of what I'm about to say next. I am 1000% always in support of ensuring that everything is ADA compliant and that all members of our community are always able to access all the information. That's non-negotiable. Whereas a council member, we've been running into challenges and where I have concerns is when we do a project as an ad hoc committee and then we are providing our update to the public and to the rest of the council in creating the document that is presented, meeting these compliance aspects, if this isn't what you do for a living, is very, very challenging. And it takes a lot of time. So I personally, a month and a half ago, I did one, it took over 3 hours for me to create that document and to meet the compliance standards. And I'll be honest, when I got to the end of it, I was still worried that I hadn't met all the compliance standards and that I'd messed some things up with fonts. And I literally do some of this for a living. And I'm a very tech savvy person. And so it was even challenging for me. And so it concerns me because we have some seats open on our council. And not only do we want to be compliant and accessible to the public and their ability to read our documents, but we want to be accessible to the public and their ability to sit on this council. And so if we were to ask a dyslexic person to create that document, they would look at this expectation as a council member and they would completely shut down and perhaps not want to sit on the council. And the same for others with a variety of other disabilities. And so what it does kind of in a default is in our effort to be compliant, in our effort to create accessibility, we then in turn create a lack of accessibility for those who have learning differences and disabilities to sit on the council itself, to lead events, to give updates, and to provide presentations. And so that's that balance, and that's that I'm hoping that we can problem solve as a council and in partnership with our support at the county office to be able to create accessibility in both directions, both sitting up here as council members and remaining compliant with the ADA. Because I don't think, and I don't want to speak for everybody, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there's anyone sitting up here that doesn't want our documents to be ADA compliant. I think that we are all pretty strong in agreement because I know all of us and we're all about equity up there and ensuring. But I think that the concern is our ability to meet that standard and the ability of those who may want to sit on this council to meet those standards and not wanting to deter somebody in feeling that they couldn't meet that standard. So what I'm hoping is that when we give presentations as council, when we have presentation materials, that we can get some more support from the county at the county level, from a staff level, in taking the information that we send in, the photos, the narrative update. Here's what happened at our event. Here's how much money we spent. Here's how many people attended. Here's photo. We do our best to put it in as close to the format as we can, but that we could get support at the county level to take what we've submitted and make it meet these standards, utilizing their professional training. That way, the council and every seat up here is accessible to any member of the community who wanted to be a council member. So I'm gonna get off my soapbox, but that was my concern. That was my concern with this, and I'm saying that from a disability lens.
Thank you. Jack and then Mari Carmen.
So one aspect of the accessibility requirements for presentations that I think is crucial to address is having some kind of accessible template that is, I don't want to use the word enforced because that's kind of heavy-handed, but is a basis for all presentations. One, to ensure that there's consistency, and two, for ease of making it. I mean, let's face it, it might be use multiple images on a slide, but having the kind of the correct colors, the correct kind of fonts, and all those other selections and requirements already within something that could be like a PowerPoint template, a Google Slides template, any whatever format you like, as a kind of baseline. And then if any changes are made to it, well, that's on the individual. But it just means that you can kind of hit the ground running and not get bogged down in, okay, where do I start? Oh, is this the right kind of orange? No, it isn't. I wouldn't know that. I also work in the compliance field, and this is something that we are very close to. So this was like reading my own documentation for our company. So yeah, I understand it's super confusing and nuanced if it's like the first time you're seeing this, because there's lots of goalposts, and as times change, there will be more things introduced for the better, I might add. But yeah, any way to reduce cognitive load and overall time, because I don't think any of us want to spend 3 hours on a presentation that takes 5 to 10 minutes to present.
Mari Carmen.
Oh, thank you, Jack and Celeste. And Jack kind of mentioned what I wanted to say, but I also just came to mind. It came to mind that question about what accommodations do commissions or councils in general for the county have for people with disabilities that want to join, these groups. Like, for example, I know there's for example, at the health center, I know that the board, like if someone doesn't, for example, speak English, like they'll hire a translator for the or interpreter for them and translator. So I was just kind of wondering, are there cases where I'm assuming where there's someone who needs accommodations being in commissions? What would, so I mean, that was a good point that Celeste brought. And thank you for, I think, having a template. And I know that maybe the council has existed for a couple more than almost 3 years, or a little bit over 3 years. And I know that maybe we should have, learned this, or maybe the prior, what do you call it, aid, did do it when the MAC began, but this was, I mean, a very informative presentation, and we'll try to take as much as we can do to make it as compliant as this. And of course, it will be a learning curve, and that will be that the county aid can help us just remediate like the least possible per se, but that we can try the most that we can, and that way we'll learn as well. But thank you.
I'll go down the row. Iris, Joe, Karina.
Thank you. My thought is that just off the top of my head, color blindness is pretty common more for men than women. And so we could certainly, to Celeste's point, have somebody who's colorblind and really can't tell the difference between orange and the orange that's needed and the green or whatever. Thank you.
Joe.
I just want to kind of double down on what Jack said, just there being a template that's accessible. I will say I formerly had a job and had Acrobat Pro and InDesign and Office and all those things. I actually purchased Office to try and update a presentation because I didn't have it. And I don't have Acrobat Pro anymore, so going from PDF to that is also a struggle. So an accessible template would be greatly appreciated.
I know.
Thank you. I want to just express my gratitude to the council, first of all, for all the years that some of you have been on the MAC. I took over in March of 2020 when we were dealing with the pandemic. And there are a lot of things that we have been learning, along the way. I do want to clarify that I have provided those templates to the council, both in PowerPoint and in Word. And I continue to offer my support month after month to anyone who is willing to reach out to me. I'm always happy to help. If you don't have access to documents, you can always call me and you can come to the office and I can sit there with you as long as you're there dictating the information to me. I'm happy to put the presentation together for you. I've always offered that. Some of you have done that and I do help. So I'm always happy to help because we want to make this as easy as possible for you guys. At the end of the day, if a presentation is incomplete and we have to send it for remediation and Jeff is here to, confirm this, then they reach out to me and then it's this back and forth between, hey, we're missing this information. Can you provide it? It takes a few days. They're reaching out to me, hey, we never got it. So we're just trying to avoid all that. And if you recently looked at your email, I provided the most recent template on a Word file for you all to use for future presentations. And again, if that doesn't work, if you can't open it, if you can't access it, please reach out to me. Sometimes, I don't hear from the council and I understand everyone's busy. We're all tied up with our jobs. Some of you volunteer and have multiple jobs and families, and we understand that. But please know that we're here to support you. I've had conversations with Supervisor Gorin about how we can best support the council. It's just me on this team. So if you can help me help you, that would be wonderful. And if there's anything that I can improve, by all means, please let me know.
Karina, can I comment?
Go ahead, Jeff.
Oh, thank you. I just want to thank you all for your comments so far on this and some of the information that we need to update in the deck. We are more than happy to work with Karina on these templates that we've provided some input on, and any others, these remediation do's and don'ts. And really, we want to support you as well and support Karina in this effort to make sure we can have the right resources for you to make this simpler, whether that be through the templates or other resources that are available, free resources that are easy to use. But I will continue, and my team will continue to work with Karina on helping you achieve compliant documents.
I think there's some comment in the Zoom audience.
Are you ready to take public comment? I thought I saw another raised hand.
Did you?
Yes,
Sorry.
I just really want to acknowledge all the staff from Susan Gurn's office because they're really on it with us to really support us. I know that we have just, we have taken these positions being, with their full-time jobs, but at the same time, we have committed to participate. And so just thank you so much because I know that at least for myself, like I'll try to do the best. And even sometimes I don't do it on time. So I will, and this is just in my personal life, also in my work as well, trying to just go, getting back on track on doing things as much ahead of time, which I know we've always been told at least 2 weeks before. So I at least, pledge to trying to do at least the week or 2 weeks before so that we have enough time to be able to ask any questions. So I'll take that my responsibility. I just wanted to put that out there. Sorry, thank you. And
Any other comment? Okay, public comment.
Thank you. I do see 2 raised hands. We're going to start with 707-996 and then Mario. When you see the timer on your screen, you may begin your comment.
I didn't have a comment. If you're referring to me,
Yes, your hand was raised. I apologize.
I thought I lowered it. Sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good evening. Can you hear me there?
Yes, go ahead, Mario.
Thank you. Good evening. This is Mario Castillo. I live in the Verano area, in the incorporated area of Boys Hot Springs. And I just want to say, that I really, really appreciate Council Member Wenders and her comment in regards to addressing properly in terms of accessibility to everyone, and meaning that it cannot be just the typical checking boxes per se in meeting the expectations of the county to make it, to avoid potentially being sued by someone who may not have accessibility, who may feel that is not being able to access the information and everything else. We have to recognize and acknowledge that these are people who are actually volunteering their time to do this work. And if there are certain expectations from the county to make sure that things are done properly, then they need to make sure that resources are allocated. I understand that Ms. Garcia is saying that she is there to support, but she also acknowledged that it's only one person. So realistically speaking, it's the council is not accessible for people who are monolingual. Myself, I speak broken English. I wish I could join the MAC, but I don't feel that I have the skills or the ability to perform and do the job properly. So therefore, are my rights being violated if I apply and then I'm not able to do the job? And so, I mean, it's really about finding a balance and being honest about this type of conversation. What is it really that we're talking about here? Is it really that Ms. Garcia is going to become the person that polices the council to make sure that they're doing the things correctly, or is it really support? And while these volunteers are trying to do the best they can, so it's worth a conversation. It's worth really being honest about it, and it's really worth asking the county, how much are they willing to invest and support the staff in this council to make it right, and not just become a bureaucracy. A room full of bureaucracy and stunt, and not really doing much work that is so much needed in the Boys Hot Springs incorporated area. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there additional comments? Okay. So I've been trying to think of something thoughtful to say about this particular item, and I'm not really able to. So for a number of reasons. I think everyone on this council works really hard to meet the requirements of what are expected of this council. And I think we do need more support. So I don't know exactly what that looks like, but I think Karina has her hands full with all that she does and all that she tries to support us as best she can, and she does an amazing job. But what we're being asked to do is continually changing and evolving and becoming more and more. So we just need additional support because everybody up here is really trying to do the best they can. So
Through the chair, if I might, just to clarify, I am not policing this council. I myself have to abide by all these rules, and Jeff, that's why I asked Jeff to be here. And it also should be noted that presentations are never the expectation for the council. And I think that it's something that this council agreed on, just to have a paper trail. Because if in 5-10 years, future council members want to look back at projects that you guys were working on, they want to be able to see something visual. They want to be able to see the utility boxes or that cleanup that took place and who were the contacts. And so we need to have paper trail. And that's more of why, you're providing or asked to provide those presentations, but it has never been the expectation. So I just want to clarify that. point a case with the norms and expectations document. If there's nothing to, that you guys agreed on, then we can't send something for remediation. You don't have to provide that, but then if you don't have it, how do you fall back on that? That's all I'm going to say. And thank you again for all the work that you do on this council.
So I want to make sure that we bring this one back to the next meeting so that we can approve it. And I think my recommendation would be to make sure that we add something on public comment and what we expect from the public when they're commenting. Yeah, that would be the one thing that I would want to add to the list.
I would like to say something. I just want to just express that I think that this is all in best intention, and like leave it at there, that there's no bureaucracy per se. I mean, there are rules. I just I think that like if we had ad hocs, that we, at least myself, want to work more with whoever my ad hoc is for the presentations. The good thing is that we only have to maybe just do the presentation maybe a couple times, depending on what the project is. So at least that's what I'm trying to see on how I can see it in the glass half full for my own perspective, and to see how I will be able to better this, because I have a big learning curve on this as well. Thank you.
Are there other comments from council? Okay, if nothing else, do you have what you need from the council to move forward? Yes, the ad hoc is, yeah, okay. All right, thank you. We'll close this item. Okay, on to some more, onto the things that are a little more fun and lighthearted. How about the bicycle rack ad hoc? We have actually made some progress.
I want to say thank you to the public that is here. Thank you so much for bearing with us. Thank you for being here. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so last time we met, if you remembered, I gave you 4 different locations for bike racks. We actually have 5 bike racks. So we have updated spots that I'll go over with you. I do want to let you all know, I know there was a lot of advocacy for a bike rack by the post office and also across the street from El Brinquito. Those are not ADA compliant sidewalks for bike racks. They're too small sidewalks, so there cannot be bike racks at those 2 locations. But I will let you know what the updated locations are. Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm gonna try really hard not to be snarky. How the heck are those sidewalks not ADA compliant when they were just built in the last less than a decade? I don't expect you to have the answer to that, but I'm completely baffled because those are new sidewalks. And so I'm a little shocked to hear that they're not ADA compliant. Sorry, I'm having a moment.
They're ADA compliant, but with a bike rack, it would
Make them not?
The width wouldn't be enough for people to get around it and wheelchairs and whatnot.
But they're ADA compliant. It's just if we put the bike rack, then it would stop.
The bike rack would not.
Thank you. Sorry, I was having a slight heart attack.
I misspoke. Yes, bike racks would take them out of compliance. They are compliant.
Did you want to say something, Supervisor Gorn?
I did. A little factoid. I agree with you totally. When the Highway 12 widening was being designed, the county advocated for 8-foot wide sidewalks and a regulation 5-foot wide bike lane. Where's Jeff? Caltrans said, no, we give you this amount of sidewalk and an 8-foot bike lane that everybody confuses for a parking lane or a passing lane. So I'm just as frustrated as you with the very narrow sidewalks and the stick tree that was put in certain places that it could possibly be located and still be ADA compliant. So when we were talking about bike racks with someone today, and I forgot who, they said, where would they put them? And so I'm fascinated. Where are they gonna go?
All right,
Thank
so
you. So let's find out.
the original two that I think we all felt good about is first by the park and ride by Michoacana at that bus stop. Also by the Siesta Plaza right there. And then the new ones, we moved both from Verano near Maxwell. So now one, the bus stop across from McDonald's, the Vineyard Shopping Center. The bus stop across the street from the post office. And then the final one would be, because the landmark I know the best, closest to it, is near Teen Services or the upper parking lot of Flowery. So still right there near Brunquito, just not across the street. So those are the 5 locations that we bring forth today.
And the 2 new ones are the final 2. Is that why they're bold?
There's actually 3 new ones.
Okay.
Oh, so it sounds like I don't have the updated presentation.
Maybe not. I think probably translating from my PowerPoint that I added to the Word document, maybe it was shifted.
Okay.
Do you want me to go over them again, or do we?
No, I think it's good. I think.
Yeah, so we had the 2 that were one right outside of Maxwell Regional Park, and then another one in Faja. Those 2 went away to become the Vineyard Market and the one across the street from the post office. And then we found out we have a 5th bike rack, and that will go basically next to Brinquito by that flower parking lot.
Through
So
the chair, sorry, I
yeah.
just want to acknowledge the photo. If we could just show the photo real
Yeah.
quick of what they look like.
yeah, that'd be great.
Oh, yeah.
This project took so long because it took a long time to figure out what we could do with the paint on the bike racks. So
I was just looking through my emails and we got these almost exactly a year ago.
yeah, so Artscape did an amazing job. They had to do a ton of research and they ended up with this final option. So very excited to see them be placed. Do we know what the timeline is for the placement? I hate to ask, but
Thank you, Chair Terry. So Sonoma County Transit is just waiting on tonight's meeting for you all to approve the final 5 locations, and I will send the locations to them tomorrow, and they will start looking for a date for the installation. It could be like a couple weeks, so it's pretty quick turnaround.
great.
And they're excited to hear if you all are interested in a ribbon cutting for that event.
Oh, yeah. We're gonna need one of those. Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Joe. Are there comments from the council?
No, it's,
Iris?
sorry.
Oh,
What?
sorry, Marty Carmen, did you?
Okay. I have a question. It's for Karina. It's not really on topic. I'm looking at this document. It seems to be what is ADA compliant? Is that so?
Which document?
The document that was on the board.
Yes.
Okay, okay. It has translation of the headings into Spanish, but there's no Spanish translation of the content, and that's confusing to me.
Oh, that's because your council did not provide the Spanish translation, nor did they ask me to do it for them.
Okay, thank you.
Marty Carmen?
Oh, no, I just want to say congratulations to everybody who's been who is in that ad hoc, which is Ms. Maite, Jesus, and Joe, correct?
I'm not in that.
He's
the
been
delivery
moving up.
driver.
He's,
Well, you're not
yeah,
the
super
you've been
he's
a
just been,
support.
yeah,
Who-
he's been the support team.
So is it just you and Joe?
Yes, I think so.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Great job, yeah.
Thank you. Is there public comment on our, oh, Jack, sorry.
Me too.
I'm gonna need like something, go ahead. Yeah.
I'm very excited to not park my bike on a stop sign. Thank you.
Jesus.
I want to express my gratitude to Artscape
Mhm.
for doing this project. We owe this them a lot. They are being very they're being great collaborating with us in some projects, and we hope that we can continue collaborating with them. But I really want to express my gratitude to them because we owe it a lot to Artscape.
Yeah. Thank you, Jesus. Okay, is there public comment? Anyone in the Zoom audience? Okay, closing public comment. Can we get a motion to approve the locations?
I make a motion to approve the locations.
I second saying thank you to Ms. Supervisor Gordon and Karina for all the support and thinking about this project and initiating it. Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you. We'll close that item. Yes. Yeah, I know that was gonna be my next question. Does that ad hoc immediately dissolve, or do we need to vote on that the next time to dissolve that ad hoc?
You can vote on it tonight if you need to.
I motion to dissolve that ad hoc. Is there a second?
I second.
All right.
Through the chair, though, you still have the ribbon cutting event if the ad hoc could work on.
Never mind. Okay.
I take
I
my
was
second
really
back.
excited. Sorry about that. But Joe, I'm going to give you the opportunity to second that in the next meeting. Okay. All right. We'll take a now. I don't know that we can without having them.
I mean, you could tentatively do something, or the ad hoc could plan something and then,
We'll do that.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll wait till. we
Yeah,
hear
we'll wait till we know, because,
back
yeah.
from- yeah.
Let's take a 6-minute break and we'll come back at 8:25 and knock out the last few items. Thank you. Okay. I think I'll wait for Marty Cunnerman. So we have our utility box project, which is another art project for the Springs. It's really exciting to see how many art projects we've been able to get done. So that's great. We're going to receive information on the utility box update. We have a Google form and a press release. And we'd like to approve the form and the press release tonight. And Jesus, do you want to share information about where we are with this project?
Yes, so we have just an update of where we so far with the utility boxes. We had a meeting with Artscape and the people from Artscape. We, like I say, we thank them a lot for all what they do for us, but they are very tiny institution, and they say that if this is going to take a lot of their work, they need to look for different look for resources or incentives. And during the meeting, and Karina has expressed that the Office of Supervising Guardian is very on board with this project. So we hope that through the Office of Susan Guardian, we can accomplish this project. All right, so that Artscape, it's doing research, and they have in mind Kaya Gatelli. And they have been given the information from Caltrans regarding the two utility boxes that belong to Caltrans, and that we have the green light to put art on it. But we would like to get we have the other three. That's a really good news that we have the three Comcast boxes that we can do them as soon as possible. We Maite and I are working on obtaining feedback from the community and what type of artistic elements could go in the utility boxes. We will let Artscape and the artists about the top teams. And on number 2, section B, that was where the link for the Google form was supposed to or intended to be. It's not there.
Do you want me to send it to you?
And then at the Google form, we are asking for help from all the council to spread it, and we're gonna post it on the Springs MAC Facebook page and next door, Sonoma en Comunidad. Juanita was just here. Thank you for being here. She left. The Spring Community Group, on different other outlets. We really want to get reach out to all people in the spring so that they can tell us what they want. Like I said, we have the green light for 3 Comcast utility boxes. We're just waiting for the topic elements. And then the 2 Caltrans utility boxes in the Springs is much complicated process, but we'll get there. And we are hoping or assuming that the Sonoma County of Sonoma is working with the arts, the agreements, the public, the maintenance agreements, all of the technical, very with a lot of difficult jargon forms that hopefully they are working on it. That's our what is it called update so far. If we can see the Google form.
Did you get it, Karina?
We want to show you how the Google form looks like. If we happen to have it. If
Working
not,
on
we
it.
can send it on later. But we will get up and running, sending that Google form.
I don't think we can do it until we get it voted on.
All right.
So I'm gonna try. I've sent it 2 different ways. I'm gonna try one more time.
Can you screen share?
Oh, I can I? Okay, let me close all my tabs. Hold on. Then I can screen share. Yes. Yes, it's very embarrassing. My tabs give people anxiety. So,
Anxiety just from talking about it.
oh, it's pretty, okay, now I have,
Through the chair, while you're doing that, just to add to what Jesus was saying, yes, Supervisor Gorin is very much behind this project, and we are working with Sonoma County Public Infrastructure on the maintenance agreement. For the public's understanding, Artscape and the Springs MAC are going to be the artistic responsible for the artistic design and implementation of the project. Sonoma County Public Infrastructure on paper will be the responsible party for the maintenance, and Supervisor Gorin's office will be responsible for the funding of the project. We are working on the encroachment permit as well. And again, that's done through Sonoma County Public Infrastructure.
I'm sharing and it says I'm sharing, but maybe you have to do something on your end. On Zoom. Okay. So we start with just an introduction. that we're seeking public input and feedback on relevant themes for an art project. That we'll be painting a number of utility boxes in the springs along the Highway 12 corridor. And our goal in this project is to represent the beauty and diversity of the Springs community. And then we have a couple of examples. And then we move down to a couple of short questions. What themes would you like to see on the utility boxes? When you think of the Springs, what comes to mind? What kinds of images reflect the Springs, and any other ideas? So if there's feedback on those questions, we're happy to make changes, but we'd like to seek approval to allow us to get this out on social media so we can start getting some feedback. Joe, did you want to say something?
I wanted a motion to approve.
I have a question. If somebody is unable to use technology, should we have like an email or a phone number where somebody can leave a comment, or that's the only question that I have?
Yeah, our main strategy was Facebook. So I don't know what other strategies, if you have suggestions, that'd be great.
Little long-winded, but a note on the sort of community board at the post office, and then suggestions for like you can submit like a Sonoma Valley Library if you don't have access to a thing. Not ideal, but still technically possible.
Yeah, this can be
Using
printed.
format.
We print them for Food for All. They're easy to print, so we could leave hard copies in
And that's what-
places. Okay. We'll try to get it out other than Facebook, but that is our main source of the Springs Facebook page and a couple other pages, but
We could make a QR code and put that up like at the markets and stuff. We could just make little QR code flyers. A lot of people were using the QR codes at the community picnic. So people are getting more familiar with them.
do we have any more events coming up?
I don't know if you're looking at me.
I am.
After tonight's meeting, you might have another one in September. And then, I mean, just thinking ahead, Day of the Dead is coming, and then you have your winter celebration, but that's a little bit too far for what you're trying to do with this. To Mari Carmen's point, for those that don't have access to technology, if there's going to be a flyer that's printed or a press release, you could put a phone number in there with my contact information through Supervisor Gorin's office. If people want to contact me for any input via telephone, at least.
Okay, we could add an email address to this.
Email and phone numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, are there other comments? Any public comment? Any Zoom audience left? So Joe, do you want to make that motion, but could you add that we will add contact information?
I motion to approve, and there will be additional contact information for those that cannot use the digital format for survey.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Item closed. Okay,
Chair Turi.
yes.
The second part of that was to approve the press release.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I missed that part. Can we see the press release?
Do you have a press release?
Oh,
Your
no,
ad hoc.
We do not.
no.
I made a different press release.
So no, we don't have a press release.
We do not.
I didn't know that was part of the item.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
That we could approve what's written on the Google form content to be submitted as a press release, because I think what you wrote would translate fine to a press release.
Excellent idea. Can we approve?
Do we need a restart or is it a new?
We need a new motion. Is there a motion to approve the language in the Google form to be the content of the press release? right? Is that it? Did I just make the motion?
You did.
Okay. Is there a second?
I second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, we'll get that.
We're such problem solvers.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. Okay.
Through the chair, who was the second of that item?
Thank you. Okay, we're moving on to creek cleanup. I'm not sure is this Jesus?
All right, so I am seeking the council approval to allow me to organize a creek park cleanup at Larson Park, September 23rd, 2023, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And I'm looking for council members to help me. I didn't create any word present, but I want to let the council and the public that I've been contacting Sonoma Ecology Center. I have done some preliminary work before, so that if you approve, we can go ahead with it. But I have contacted Sonoma Ecology Center if they could be our, we can partner with them so that they can provide us with the certificate of insurance, and I've been also in contact with Sonoma Regional Parks and Recology Sonoma Marine, so they can maybe provide us with a large dumpster and a recycle bin so that we can make this event a creek cleanup and an event where people can dispose their unwanted items. Looks just like last year when Hannah and I, with Hannah and I created last year. Repeat what we did last year. I have
a question, Councilmember Alcaraz. For reading from the description, is it that you have to create an ad hoc for this first?
Well, I've done this
under-
preliminary work, but I need help.
But you would need to create another ad hoc to do this, or that's what I'm understanding from the resolution, that from this item. First create an ad hoc and then suggest the approval of this event. Is that what I'm understanding correctly?
Correct. So
Maybe.
the first step of this item is for a motion to create an ad hoc, and Jesus is explaining that he's done preliminary work for that. ad
Okay.
hoc. Yeah.
If you approve it.
Excuse me, Jesus, wasn't the folks who do the garden at Larson, the public garden, are they part of it? Were they part of it last year?
Yes, indeed. I also emailed Seth Dolinsky if he wanted to participate. He said he's looking at the schedule, but it would be really great that he collaborate with us, like opening the Springs Community Garden, and he can perhaps, he said about giving plant starters and compost, but he's just looking if he's not busy that day. Yeah, I've done some preliminary work, but I need more help with it. So first things first, ad hoc creation.
Is there a motion to create an ad hoc?
To help me with this.
I make a motion to create an ad hoc for a creek cleanup.
Is there a second?
Do you want to my question is, do you want to call it creek cleanup or like environmental, more general, like for instead of just creek cleanup?
Well, I'm doing it because that same date is Coastal Cleanup Day, so Maybe coastal cleanup day, creek cleanup.
Through the chair, Jesus, I believe, Councilmember Reyes' question is, do you want to call the ad hoc creek cleanup? Or do you want to call it something like environmental ad hoc or something along the lines? That was the question.
It seems to me that shooting for a creek cleanup would be good. I think it's maybe overly ambitious to try and to get people to drop things off. It's a great idea. Although it seems like you might need another dumpster.
Well, the creek cleanup name goes with the coastal cleanup, so indicating water and cleaning. So
Are gonna have an ad hoc, and then the ad hoc can work out all these details.
yeah,
Instead of us working through them
yeah.
all.
we just
Right.
need a second.
I second.
All right. All in favor?
I
Aye. Okay, great. Is there anyone who would like to join Jesus? He sounds like he needs some help.
Hit me up.
All right, Jack, thank you. Okay. So we have an ad hoc.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, so thank you, Jack, for helping me with this. But regarding the preliminary work that I've done, I have submitted some applications already. Recology is really on board with providing a bin like last year for people to just drop their junk.
So we can you meet with Jack and then when you guys come back to the September meeting, give us an update on everything that you've done?
Of course.
Yeah, that's great. Okay,
about it.
awesome. Thank you. And Jesus, thanks for taking it on. Okay, is there an SVCAC update?
That would be me. Chair.
Oh, wait a minute. I need to ask for comment, public comment on. Did I do that?
And you skipped item 12. You went from 11 to 13.
Well, look at me. I'm trying to get to the last page. Oh, I already checked it off.
But I bet we can do 12 pretty quick.
Okay, is there an update on? We have several. The Adopt a Road, Jack and Muddy Cutterman.
Yes, very quick. Application is underway and in progress, awaiting approval. And this is to confirm for those who are not aware of it, to adopt the stretch of Verano Avenue from Highway 12 to Olive Avenue. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you. Emergency preparedness.
Yes, we have a donation that is the Iris's house that we need to get into the COVEX. And I believe Chair Terry, you may have the code to get into it.
Maybe.
So we need to get the access so we can take that, and then we can plan also to do an inventory. And then still pending setting a date with the new superintendent to do an MOU. But right now, poor Iris, we need to get the stuff out of her house. But I think maybe maintenance department from the school district may have the code also, just in case, but
They
but you
do.
They do, okay. But will
Doug
you be,
Weideman does.
should we contact him, or would you be able to support us with that?
I'm gonna have to look through my notes, but it might be a good idea to talk to Doug as well.
Okay,
I think I know what it is, but
okay, perfect. I'll check in with Doug, and then Macarena, I don't know if she may have it as well. The code, so, okay, so then Iris, I will then work with you to open that COVEX so we can put your stuff in there, the N95s. Thank you. And just a quick update, went to the meeting with the Department of Emergency Management. There was like a meeting for all the neighborhood groups from like the oh God, I forgot the word starts with the C. God, with the mapping neighborhoods, but the ones that they have, the COPEs, sorry, COPE. And so I think one of the biggest concern across the board was that everybody is pretty much tired, and people are tired of emergency preparedness per se. So one of the common suggestions or the key takeaways was, how do you continue doing community building within your communities and neighborhoods, so that when there is an emergency, they already have the trust and build relationship with you. So just wanted to put that out there. I think that was the biggest takeaway. And I do have some material in books. I forgot to bring them today actually, but I will provide to our ad hoc. And then we have to initiate also the Springs Emergency Task Force. So that's my update for the moment. Thank you.
Thank you. Logo competition. I think we only have 3 entries. Is that correct?
I believe so. I believe that's where we're at. It's still open. People can still submit entries. We have the information is on our Facebook page. Entries can be submitted until the very end of September, I believe the 30th. So we encourage everyone, including kids. Kids can submit also, in fact, extra encouraged. And then I'll just bump over into social media and outreach. We have a Facebook page. Everybody go like it. Where our page has grown a few numbers, and we want to continue to keep it growing. So yeah, that's it.
Right on. Thank you. Is there public or is there comment from council? Public comment. Okay, we're going to keep moving.
Please. Yes, I have a comment.
Jesus.
With the help of Karina, created this flyer that I'll be posting around key locations. Hope this works as outreach.
Thank you. Thanks, Jesus.
Think
Okay. SVCAC update. Karina, is there something from the SVCAC?
That would be me. Thank you, Chair Turi. I'm going to read off what the SBCAC provided. At the July meeting of the Sonoma Valley Citizens Advisory Commission, the commission continued their discussion about their role and mission and created 2 ad hoc committees. The first, the general plan ad hoc, is to become familiar with the general plan and reach out to Permit Sonoma to discern the schedule for community outreach and input, and come back to the commission with a proposal for how they might go about submitting their recommendations for the general plan update that will take place from late 2023 over the next few years. I apologize, interpreters, if I'm reading too fast. The second ad hoc is dedicated to engagement and outreach and will focus on ways to better solicit community input and advertise meetings, including investigating social media and more traditional communication methods. There was also continued discussion about youth membership, the JPA renewal, and cumulative impacts of development on the Sonoma Valley. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions from council? Comments from public? Moving on. Consideration for future agenda items. So on the 13th, we have the Sonoma County Community Hub outreach. We have a presentation on the road paving. We wanted to work on MAC goals in our calendar of events. October 11th, we're looking for mental health update from Hannah. Also positive images and LGBTQ connections. November 8th, we're looking at zero waste and single-use plastics. And that's really what we have on our current list. I'm wondering if there are other items we want to add. Other suggestions? I think Karina alluded to something earlier that.
I was hoping that Mr. Larson would stay here because I wanted to let him know, or I wanted you to let him know that the item that he requested in the past is actually coming forward next month. So it's a shame he didn't stick around.
I did say it to him when he made public comment.
Okay, good. Excellent.
Yeah.
And the goals and a calendar of events, is that what you're referring to? That's coming up in September.
Yeah, I thought you said another outreach opportunity. Did you say that or did I make that up?
I can't recall.
Okay.
Let's look back at the minutes.
Okay. Are there any, no. Yeah, I said,
I believe what she was referring that we can publicize the utility box Google form in paper at the creek cleanup event, right?
oh, okay, maybe that was it. Okay. All right. Anything else?
I believe you said September 13 for the hub. Was that correct?
Mhm.
Isn't it the 14th? I thought I heard it was the 14th.
Right, so your meeting is September 13th.
Mhm.
Oh, so they're talking about it, and then the next day is gonna be the community meeting.
Correct.
Okay, so it's gonna be a busy week. Okay, pardon me.
Anything else? Any public comment on future agenda items? Okay. Is there a motion to? Well, let me thank everybody. I just, KSVY, our interpreters, Lynn Marie, always, Karina and Susan Gore and Supervisor Goran's office and SVUSD for the facility. And to the board, to the council for always being here and participating and making it a great meeting, and we're doing good work. So thank you all. Is there a motion to adjourn? And to our audience, thank you for sticking it out with us. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Yes, I make a motion to adjourn on.
Second,
I second.
all in favor?
Bye.
Aye.
All righty.